Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. I'm Maria. I'm a bookseller, bibliophile, scribbler girl whose books are her entire life, and I love talking about books on here. That being said, if you are not new to my channel, it has been a minute since I posted a video and I'm so sorry about that. I genuinely never meant to take a break. I've had a couple of videos I've been meaning to post, but they've been on the longer side and I just got like overwhelmed with keeping up with them. And for anyone who's been following me for a minute here, I was in community college for a couple years, and so I've been like working on my transfer process, and that's been taking up most of my life, most of the time. Recently I got into a few schools, but I decided on UCLA, which is my absolute dream school. It's so crazy to me that like actually is happening and is my life. But I've been like very preoccupied with the preparations for that and just like getting everything started. I'm such a planner. So when there's something to plan, and this is probably the biggest event in my life thus far, so there's a lot to plan and I'm so incredibly excited, but also that mental space hasn't left much time for thinking about anything else, and I'm really sorry about that. I've started a couple vlogs here and I will be participating in Summerween. It is currently July 3rd when I'm filming this, which is a little later, but I figured as long as I got this video up in the first week of July, it would still be kind of mid-year, and I've been wanting to do this tag for so long. I meant to film it on the last month, but I did get sick. So thanks so much for being patient. Welcome back, and like I said, I've been wanting to film this video for literally forever. I always answer along when I'm watching a booktuber do this, so it's very cool that I get to do this now. I have the last of my coffee here. I'm gonna take a sip. That being said, I am kind of slumping a little bit, and I haven't had too many 5 stars this year. Even less infinity stars. So yes. So this video might have a lot of repetition. I'm gonna try to avoid that at all costs, but it might happen. Otherwise, I'm very excited to share some thoughts with you. The best book I read in 2026 so far has to be the 6th Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. It's hard to pick just one volume because I read 4 through 8 this year and I read the first 3 last year. All of them are infinity stars. Just like looking back on my notes, I just miss this world so much, and nothing has compared since I finished the series back in February. I have to keep reminding myself that it's okay that I'm so down bad for it, because the series isn't over. We have the 9th book coming allegedly this year. We have no updates on it, but I'm looking forward to that, and maybe life will have meaning once it's out. But for now, I'm just down bad, crying at the gym. The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon follows this girl coming of age in Victorian society in England. She moves to this town called, or this neighborhood called St. Crispian's in London, which is very Stars Hollow-esque, and I don't use that phrase lightly. She, as a main character, reminds me a lot of Hermione Granger, Jo March, Anne Shirley, all the really cool chicks of classic literature. I guess Hermione Granger is in classic literature, but you know what I mean. All of the soul characters that I feel like bibliophiles all of the world unite for and agree on. I feel like she is the best traits of all of them. There is a slow burn, incredible romance that we get absolute crumbs of, but it makes me so feral. She's such a bookish main character, and I love her so much. And I was really worried when I started the series that Beth Brower would nail the Victorian slang of it all, because it is epistolary, so we're reading her journals. That's why it's called the Unselected Journals of M. Lyon. She's the funniest character in the world, and yeah. This one's great. I specifically chose the 6th book because something happens towards the end and it's literally the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Yeah, because the series is gonna be so long, I don't know if the romance that's romancing is gonna be endgame or not, but I am having the best time with it while it is in the room with us. So that is the best book I've read so far in 2026. I read it in February. Nothing's topped it. I don't know if anything will, if I'm gonna be so honest. Best sequel I've read so far in 2026 has to go to the much anticipated Anne of Avonlea. Yes, this book came out like 100 years ago, but I read Anne of Green Gables for the first time in 2023. So I read it as an adult, or an 18-year-old, whatever you consider 18-year-olds to be. And I absolutely needed that book at that time. I had just moved out to LA and I was feeling very lost and lonely, and excited. So all the emotions that you feel at that age, and Anne really helped to show me the beauty of the mundane, the beauty of the everyday, and how magical life really is. And it completely pulled me out of kind of a life slump, past the initial excitement of the move and just like being in a new city with people you don't know. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna continue the series now, and I just like didn't continue the series. I bought the box set and I just been sitting on it for a while, and then I reread Anne of Avonlea in 2020. Sorry, I reread Anne of Green Gables in 2024. I was like, okay, I'm gonna continue the series now. I got like a chapter into the second book, and I didn't continue it. So it's been a long time coming that I'm reading the Anne of Green Gables series now, and I read the second book, and I don't want to spoil too much because it is the second book and each Anne book spans such a length of time, but we're in such similar places in our life right now, and I need to pick up Anne of the Island because I think it has a similar effect to Emma M. Lyon, that like I know they'll be real great and are hoping that they will all be Infinity Stars. I've heard some things about some books that maybe won't be, but for the most part I've heard very consistent great things about all the Anne books. I love it. Gilbert Blythe is such a dream. I love him so much. And yeah, I also watched the 1985 adaptation this time around, and it is the most magical show, movie, miniseries I've ever seen. It's so beautiful, and I totally understand why people were prejudiced over Anne with an E now. I love both, but I think I am partial to 1985. But yes, great book. I also love these covers. They're the Aladdin covers of the Anne series. I believe they only published 6 of them, but I will be collecting the 6 of the 8 because they're just so magical. New release you haven't read yet but want to. There are quite a couple. I mean, there's always just so many, but the main one is The Geo-Magician. I actually got the arc of this on NetGalley and I didn't read it in time, and I'm so sad about it. I actually got about 100 pages in, and I soft DNF'd, not because I wasn't enjoying it, just because I think I had other things I needed to read at the time. But this is so up my alley. It's about Mary Anning, who is a geomagician. I actually didn't make the connection, but Mary Anning was also a paleontologist in, I don't know if it was specifically the Victorian period, but she was one of the first paleontologists, or one of the first female paleontologists, and this is based on kind of the same thing, but she's also a geomagician, so there's this magical element. It follows this girl named Mary Anning who finds a fossil egg, and then it comes to life. There's this baby dinosaur. There's also a little bit of tension because her ex-fiance is there. It's all very stressful and overwhelming, but it sounds so up my alley, and I actually didn't realize that this was a duology. I hope to love this. I hope this is Infinity Stars. I really just need to get back on my grind. I need a new Infinity Star. I'm losing my mind and my brain cells, but I hope to absolutely love this. My most anticipated release for the second half of the year, I don't have it with me, but I thought I'd show you the first book in kind of preparation. I have a few, but this is my real main one. I'm hoping to schedule like an event commemorating the sequel at the bookstore that I work at. I'm so excited for it, and that is the sequel to Immortal Consequences. I believe it's called Ruinous Ends. Ivy Marie, I've met her, and she is the loveliest person in the world. So kind. I met her on release day actually, and she personalized a book to me, and it was so lovely about the whole thing. And I just got the UK edition because I've been wanting to one for a while, and I wanted to annotate a copy, and this is the one I want to annotate. Look at how beautiful the end papers are. It has a map of Blackwood Academy. I did just see that the paperback came out and has really lovely character art inside, so maybe I'll get the paperback too. I don't know, but so excited for Rudeness Ends. This book left off on such a cliffhanger. I'll definitely do a reread. Sorry, you can hear my dog. I'll definitely do a reread before I read Rudeness Ends, so if you want to read along with me, I'll have that vlog up soon, hopefully. Gosh, I'm so behind on my rereads too. So behind. I was supposed to read Anatomy, that duology in May, didn't get to it. I was supposed to read Studying Drowning in June, didn't get to it. I will reread those both. It's been 2 years since I've read Anatomy, and I've never done a reread. It's only been 1 year since I reread A Studying Drowning because the sequel came out last year and changed my life. Biggest disappointment. I've definitely had a couple disappointments. A couple books I was really excited for. The Demonic Inventions of Orally Blake was one. I was loving that book at first. Okay, I'm gonna take the squeaky toy away from my dog. Just give me 1 sec. Okay, I'm back. The Demonic Inventions of Orally Blake was a book I was really excited about, and I was loving it for the first 70 pages. It was giving very much Violet Baudelaire magical twists. It's basically kind of Shadowhunters adjacent in terms of the world. It's about this world where all creations, all form of inventions create demons, and therefore they're outlawed. And I was really loving it in the beginning, but once the love interest got introduced, I started losing interest. It was very much insta-lusty, which firstly it's a YA, so I have problems in and of that. But also it fell into that, like, he's so large and I'm so small and tiny, and all that stuff. And I also didn't feel like the societal commentary on the fact that, like, inventions are literally outlawed and innovation is outlawed. I just felt like Orally was like villainized instead of like being seen as a victim to this really awful society. So anyways, those are my comments to that, but I think my biggest disappointment is Strange Beasts by Susan J. Morris, or at least it's my most recent one, which isn't to say that this was a bad book at all. I think I could give it like 3.75 stars, but I thought it'd be infinity, or at least a 5 stars, so that's where the disappointment came into play. This book follows Dracula's killer's daughter and Sherlock Holmes's killer's daughter. They fight like magical crime in London, which sounds like the perfect premise. The first 30 pages I was like, perfect book, Lockwood & Co, but for adults. Incredible. And Samantha Harker was giving such soul character energy, and I was so excited. But I felt like we kind of lost her personality throughout the mystery and throughout the book, and I also didn't feel like I totally grasped the mystery, and it just felt pretty predictable. And I'm not someone who gets upset if I guess a mystery. I'm always just like, yep, I knew it. I did it. But for me to be like, oh god, like, come on, I knew this, it was just clear that it was very predictable. Fine book, just not my absolute favorite. My biggest surprise. I feel like typically the books that I know I'm gonna love are books that I end up loving. I think, let's see. Okay, I say as if I didn't pull this stack. Inamorata by Ava Reid. Ava Reid is one of my absolute favorite authors, so for me to be like, hey, loved this, is probably not shocking to most people, but this is advertised as a grim, dark, gothic fantasy, and I love gothic fantasy, but I am very scared of grim, dark. I don't touch it with a 10-foot pole, but I had to pick this up because Ava Reid said so, and I ended up absolutely loving this book. Now, that being said, has the ending haunted me since I finished it in March? Yes! Yeah, I'm still grossed out and icked out and all of the things. It's so gross and weird. But in the classic Ava Reid sense, it's never gross for no reason. I've had books where I'm like, I don't feel like there's a point to this. There's always a point in an Ava Reid book, and this just felt, funnily enough, like coming home. I don't care about Agnes's wrongs. She is my beloved, and I love her so much. Yeah, this is an incredible book, and I will continue to love and read anything Ava writes. So yes, the second book is coming out, but it does have different perspectives, so I'm excited to see what I think of that, and also scared because I love this one, but also I don't know. Favorite new author? Honestly, I don't think I've discovered oh, actually, okay, so my relationship, oh my gosh, more to cut that out. My relationship with this next book was pretty tumultuous, shall we say. I was very prejudiced against it. I read this book in high school and I didn't like it at all. I was really into the Brontes in high school, and I was really into Oscar Wilde and Mary Shelley, all of the really gothic, grimy, fast-paced stuff. And I don't think I had the appreciation of A Quieter Story. I picked this book up this year and I just had a completely different reading experience, and it just felt, it's one of my new favorite books of all time now, and the main character is the sole character and the love interest I am feral for, so even though it is technically a reread, it's not a reread. I read it when I was 17 and now I'm 21, and those are very different ages, and I'm a very different person. I should say, this is my newest favorite author, whom I never thought I would enjoy, but I love her now, and that is Pride and Prejudice by, oh my gosh, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Yeah, who knew? Jane Austen can write. I absolutely adored this book. I've always loved the movie adaptation, the 2005 one, but I just didn't. I keep hearing people say it wasn't book accurate, and so I was like, okay, I guess I like the movie, but I don't like the book. I love the book. And it is movie accurate. What are we talking about? It's so movie accurate. Sorry, the movie is so book accurate. It's almost like word for word in some scenes. Lizzie is so funny, and it's more romantic than I ever could have remembered, especially the ending. This was absolutely the original rom-com. The pacing is so similar, and Lizzie is just so girl, and I feel like we're so connected. We're both 21, we both love walking and reading, and yeah, I loved this book. I read it in Griffith Park in my favorite trail, and it was just made for the most magical reading experience I think Jane Austen would have approved. And I'm reading Northanger Abbey now, so the Austen obsession continues, and I just feel like I'm so in my Austen era. So yes, Infinity starts this one, and I'm so excited to read anything that Jane Austen writes. Everything that she's written. There we go. And J.C. Edgar Jones is gonna be in Sense and Sensibility, which I'm so excited about and so excited to read. I feel like I'm already such an Eleanor, and knowing that she represents that, I wonder if she'll represent two of my soul characters, because she was obviously in Normal People, and Marianne Sheridan is one of my favorite characters, so I hope I love Eleanor Dashwood just as much. Newest fictional crush. I feel like we're introduced to this character in book 2 of MM Line. Technically book 1, but kind of book 2. And I kind of knew that there was going to be a romance between them, but I was like, whatever, I guess, sure. And this book really sold it for me. Really sold it for me. The things that he does for her in this book, just as a friend, there's no romance in this one. It's just the loveliest things I've ever seen. So, him, even though it's the 4th book in the series, him in this one, yeah, yes. And also every single man, every single one, and some of the women, and Chain of Iron, oh, yes. And Chain of Iron and Chain of Gold, all the books in the Last Hour series. I'm currently on the 3rd one. I'm really trying to make my way through all of the Shadowhunter books before The Last King of Fairy, except in order to read the dark artifices. In summer, which I want to do in LA, which is the city I live in, I have to finish all of the Mortal Instruments this month-ish, and the problem with that is I'll have to wait so many more months, at least like 3 until November, in order to read The Last King Fairy, which is gonna be devastating. But I do have other Shadowhunter content I can read. I've got the novellas and the short stories. My reading order might piss some people off, and I'm sorry, but I am reading it in chronological order because I started this Shadowhunter journey with the Infernal Devices, which, I don't know, I feel like in some ways the last hours are even better, but also Tessa Gray and Will Herondale. That's it. Tessa Gray, Will Herondale, I don't think you can ever beat that. But I'm absolutely loving my journey with this book, and I finished it and I sobbed like a baby, and I was like, okay, I need the 3rd book now, and I haven't read it and it's been a month, so it's been a little bit over a month, so yeah, need to get on that. I got this idea from Hallie Bush, but she pairs scents with her books so that she has like an immersive reading experience, and I thought that was such a clever idea. I already did this with Harry Potter, just back during HP Talk when everyone was pairing scents to candles, and I used to use a different candle for Harry Potter, but I switched to the Enchanted Library candle from Briarwick. Every time I smell that, I am on the Quidditch pitch with Harry and Ginny. I'm in the library with Hermione. It's just, yeah, it's incredible. But I recently got one for my Shadowhunters read, and I'm going to show you now. This to me smells like Shadowhunters, and that is the Shadowhunters candle from A Court of Candles. It smells like ash, rain, and leather. So there you go. I love James Herondale. I loved Matthew Fairchild. He's getting on my nerves. I know it isn't his fault, but I'm very upset. I'm very upset with him. I'm very upset with him. I'm very upset with him. So, but every other character is just so perfect in this. Jessie Blackthorne is also really great. My newest favorite character has to go to Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice. I just felt so connected to her. We're the same age. We love the same things, and it was just so cool to see a soul character who's born in the 1700s. Feels like someone I was so connected to. So yeah, absolutely this. I could have said Emma and Lion, but I technically met her last year, and I also met Anne Shirley 3 years ago. So in terms of soul characters I met this year, this is her. Elizabeth Bennet and I were acquainted, but we didn't know each other. So I feel like that's right. A book that made you cry. Okay, this isn't the saddest book I read, but it is the one that made me cry the most, and that is the 4th volume of the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. Emma's going through it. Actually, 4 and 5 made me cry. Half of this book is just conversing with your best friend and having the most fun time, and the other half is trying to be there for your best friend while she's going through a really insurmountable loss or moment of grief. And I was also grieving when I read this book, and I just felt so comfortable sharing that grief with Emma. And there are still quotes from both of these books that I think about on the daily when I'm just going about moments and the grief kind of sneaks up on me. These two. I also, again, not the saddest books I've read, still a lot of joy and hope in these, but I think you could also argue that volume 8 has some objectively sadder moments, but I don't think I've ever read a book that I have felt more immersed in since I was 10 and reading Harry Potter. Yeah, so my life does not feel real. These people felt real. Books that made me happy. It's Emma M. Lyon again, and it is volume 6. Anyways, also, not this book, the first book, but it's all the way on my bookshelf. But The Last Hours as a whole so far, are the characters going through it? Yes, but I can't describe it. Being back in the Shadowhunters feels like coming home. it completely does. And I'm still a newbie to the Shadowhunters world, but it feels so comforting and familiar. And yeah, so even though they're going through a lot, I'm enjoying it. It's kind of when Ron Weasley in Harry Potter said, so you're gonna suffer, but you're gonna be happy about it. That's how I feel about the Shadowhunters. Most beautiful book you bought so far this year or received. I actually received this very sweetly from one of my friends and coworkers for International Women's Day. And I got this book from them, which is a book I own, and it's one of my favorite books, if not my favorite book. And that is the new exclusive edition of Divine Rivals. This is so beautiful. I have a couple editions of Divine Rivals, but I had to have this one. Look at that. And then it's a slipcase. It has like irises on the side. And this, I've been honestly really craving a Divine Rivals reread, so coming in September, because that is my September book. On the back it says, I am coming to love him in 2 different ways, face to face and word to word. It has a wax seal with a typewriter and kind of the same thing on the spine. But the reason I really needed this, was, I'm such a sucker for this, but character art on the end papers. Look at how beautiful. We got Roman, we got Iris, they're so magical and in love. And then we got a map of Oath on the back. Yeah, character art in a book, and I will buy it. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Again, there are so many, but this year I really want to get on my book adaptation grind. I want to watch a book and then watch the adaptation. Watch a book and then watch the adaptation. I'm so out of practice making videos, and you can clearly tell. I read a book and watch the adaptation, and one of the main ones I'm so excited for is The Other Bennett Sister, which has already been out for a couple months now that I'm filming this. I wanted to read the book first. It just looks like the perfect show / book, and Mary Bennett is my second favorite. Maybe they're tied. They might be tied as my favorite Bennett sisters. I just felt so warm and fuzzy towards Mary, and I just feel like, I don't know. If I'm not an Elizabeth, I'm a Mary. So I'm so excited to read this. And Darling Desi here on YouTube has been recommending this book for years. And every time I hear her speak about it, I'm like, I need to pick this up, and I just haven't, and I need to now. I also couldn't find the hardcover anywhere, and I'm such a hardcover person, but that's okay. I've got this really lovely cover. So last question is favorite book community member. Undoubtedly Hallie Bush. I love her videos so much. I feel like she's so whimsical and magical, just like a fairy in human form. She's taught me to, kind of similarly with Darling Desi, but like in book form, romanticize my life and romanticize my reading. I just want to make my rereads events, kind of like how she does, and I'm still working on it, but at least with Shadowhunters, it has stuck. Every time I smell that candle, I am grabbing my seraph blade and putting on my fighting gear, and I'm ready to fight some demons. And yeah, so there we go. Hallie Bush. I also love Abigail's Cup of Tea, but she hasn't posted a video in a while. I miss her. Yeah, those are my 2 favorite booktubers right now. There's so many booktubers I love. Katie's reading, but I think Hallie and Abigail are my favorites, and they're friends, they're besties, so that's always nice. I love bookish friendships. Okay, yay! That was my 2026 mid-year freakout tag. I'm so sorry if I was rambly and weird. I'm sure I'll have a great time editing this video. It's been a while since I've sat behind a camera and had to speak eloquently, and I don't think I achieved that. I also hope I didn't leave out any books, but this year has been pretty low in 5 stars and Infinity Stars. I have 3 series that I'm like really into. Well, 2 series and 1 Pride and Prejudice. But and I've only had 2 fantasy books that have hit 5 stars this year, so it's been a little strange, but I am genuinely so excited about the books that have been Infinity Stars. I feel like they're just so magical. That that is my reading, and those are my takes, and those are my updates, and I hope you liked this video. Get yourself a cup of coffee and read some books, and as always, happy reading, friends, and I will see you shortly.